You know what? This is fascinating to me. And you called me a while back and you said, hey man, let's go down here and do this. I said, okay, pick a day. So we finally got it set up and got down here. Today though, you've only got sets for, the only thing we're probably gonna see is beaver or otter.
Beaver and otter is what we got set up for today.
People know that beaver are not, well, some people don't know, but beaver are everywhere. And they cause all kinds of damage to landowners. Explain why that is.
And well, they're just like with a mouse or anything in your house. They're the second largest rodent in the world. And just like out here, you know, they have spent a lot of money to make this into a good duck hole. And you've got the beaver damming up their spillways, damming up their levee, cutting their levee. You get them in creeks and ditches, you know, and they flood out farmland. They're flooding out timber and cutting trees. And, you know, flooded timber can only last so long before people lose, you know, thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in that, so, you know, it's like with any kind of wildlife, deer, otherwise they have to be managed out. This is obvious signs of the offenders out here. Beaver, of course, they eat this soft top layer of the trees. It's called the
cambium layer.
Cambium, yeah, something like that. But they eat this off. You know, people imagine that they eat this whole stick. Now you get them down to this size, and a lot of times they will eat the whole stick. But they'll cut big old huge trees, and they'll clean them off, and they'll eat the branches all off of them. But you know, they'll drop a big nice oak tree or a cherry tree or a walnut tree, just to eat the branches off of it.
Man, look what they've done out here.
But they just go through. They will just wipe out a whole area of trees. It's hard to get rid of them, but you can manage them out. You can control them. You know how many you do and don't have coming in and out. And that's the main thing, is keeping the population where you can manage it.
Now, before we check this first set, let's talk about the fact that, you know, people think of this, they see a beaver, and a lot of people in their mind, they think that's about the size of a groundhog. Tell me what that one weighed that you got.
The largest one I've ever caught is 91 pounds.
91 pounds. That's the size of a great big German Shepherd.
Yeah, it's bigger than my 6-year-old. But, you know, and I use a good scale. It's not, you know, I actually weigh these animals. It's a real number. And, you know, and I see an average of a 60-pound beaver is nothing for me to catch an average throughout a whole year, and then to weigh out to 58, 60-pound average. Yeah. You know, which, you know, if you look up on your Wikipedia or whatever, you know, 35 pounds is what they say one average weighs. You know, down here, we just got big beavers.
All right, now you told me, you said, hey, farmer, you see where these beaver have been running. You can, because obviously.
Right. The nice thing about water trapping is animals, even on land, you know, they kind of show you where they go. Just like on land, you can see trails when they're coming through the woods. There's this hard pack that runs, it's like a little road. And this is where they've slid along that bottom. And of course, they're rounded. Beaver and otter and muskrat all are kind of, you know, rounded, and they'll flatten this off. And they're running right out into the main water. And you can actually look from here and see the exact trail they're running.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so yesterday evening came out, I set up a set right here at the head of this trail where it comes out of the brush. Is that where those 2
sticks are right there?
Yeah, that's where the 2 sticks are, right there.
So there could be something in there.
There could be something in there we haven't looked yet, so.
Mike, if you will, tell us what kind of trap this is and how you even set the daggone thing.
This is a 330 conibear.
All right.
And there's all kinds of different brands and everything, of course, that you can get.
I'm not getting my hand anywhere near that, by the way.
No, don't. With beaver, they're a big animal. So you got to make sure everything you have is stable. And we're going to pull this up real fast. Let me put these safeties on. These are to keep it from firing on me. And if it does, they keep it from firing hard.
Gotcha. So basically, there's nothing that really attracts them here other than the waterway.
This is just their run. I didn't put anything here to no foreign anything or anything like that. And this will set in their runway, just like this. And what it is that, because they're not going to come, they're not swimming across the top of this, they're swimming down. And you know, if I was in a deeper spot where they were going to be swimming, you know, on top, I would take something and set it over the top, because they'll dive. It's called a dive stick, real simple name. And they'll dive down and go through that. This trap right here is considered a kill trap. You know, people call them quick kill traps, this and that. These right here are about 100 to 120 pounds of pressure each. But they come loose. This right here is like this. And I'm not gonna set it loose with the springs off, but it comes, you bring it up like this and comes a square. And they're gonna swim through this and they'll bump this trigger, which will let this go loose. And it comes open like that, real fast. And snaps it. In fact, if you want to, grab a stick. And what they're gonna do, they're gonna swim along and they're gonna bump these, there's triggers in here, side to side. And you know, they don't bump off real easy like that. You know, so they actually bump into them. Yeah, they're gonna think that it's just and you can tell how that rocked in the water. But that's your just typical run set with no bait, no lure, no nothing, because they're gonna go there.
Gotcha.
And it's just like a highway. Just like in the woods, whenever you cut that 4-wheeler path, you know animals are traveling there.
Right.
Well, this is the same thing.
Let's go find one.
Let's go find one. Hopefully find one. Here we go.
Got one?
Yeah.
Excellent. Whoa.
Right here, we have a nice sized beaver. And how I stated over there with that one, properly set, properly maintained equipment,
Instant death.
gets the right catches.
Let's
There
get
you
him
go.
out there and take a look at the physical characteristics of this animal. Now that's what cuts trees down.
Just like with other rodents, these teeth grow continuously.
Right.
If you were to take these out, they go all the way back through his jaw.
Wow.
And they're actually about that long, a big half-inch shape. So they have to constantly chew. So even if they're not eating trees, they're cutting trees to keep them teeth down. Go ahead and feel that, Mr. Tim. Just kind of rub your finger on it.
Man, that would cut you. It's like a razor. Man.
Isn't that amazing?
Look at the size of this. When you spread that out, you think
These right here, these animals can swim fast, hard, you know, and you can look how long their claws are, even on these front feet.
wow.
They dig holes and burrow straight through this levee, no trouble. They have oil sacs right here. You can see it's kind of bulged. This is its castor gland, which is its scent glands. They're right here at the base. Then right beside those is oil glands. And they'll take, and they paw that oil all over. It makes them waterproof.
Now, people can think I'm joking, but they know me very well. If I'm out in the woods and I kill something, I have had beaver before in a stir fry, like an Asian type stir fry, and it was delicious. It reminded me of beef. Now, you eat these as well.
Beaver cooked properly is, people are like, oh, it's greasy. Well, it does have a lot of fat to it. Beaver have, you know, a huge layer of fat. But we smoke everything. This is Western Kentucky, you know. We barbecue everything, everything that moves, we barbecue it. You know, smoked beaver, it's got the texture of goat. You know, it's a lot sweeter than goat is, but it's got the same texture as goat. Really red meat. I'm trying to find something that's red colored. Really dark red color to it. Good, clean meat. They're vegetarians.
Yeah.
You know, people will call me and say,
They're not strong at all.
well, people call me and they'll be like, oh, I have a beaver eating my fish. Well, you don't have a beaver eating your fish. You know, beaver don't eat fish. Otters eat fish.
Yeah.
But beaver, they eat trees. They'll, you know, you'll see them, they'll gnaw on some grasses and stuff like that. But for the most part, they eat that bark off them trees, that inner layer off them trees, and they'll eat some reeds and things like that. They're strict vegetarians, very clean animal. You know, and inside their lodges, they have a living space, a sleeping space, and a bathroom area. And they don't eat in their bathroom area. You know, they're very clean animals just in and of themselves. You know, so there's nothing wrong with eating one.
All right, you know what? This was an interesting day. Now, we talked on the phone, and I could tell that you love this stuff.
I enjoy it. Trapping, if you do it, it shouldn't be about the money. You know, getting out here and just seeing and doing it and going and being able to enjoy this, just the open, fresh air. And you know, it's good exercise. And you can put a little change in your pocket, you know? And I mean, it's a hobby that can pay for itself. By the way, one thing to mention, trappers can help the state of Kentucky out. They have asked, you know, if you've got your trapping license, they'll send you a newsletter. They ask for the lower jaw of an otter. And so they can do a tooth study, you know, to check the ages of the otters, because they did replenish the otter population, you know, and it's flourishing. We've just got enough on our limits and stuff. And they ask for the same thing with bobcats. You know, they just want to be able to do a study, check the ages, the populations and stuff. You know, and as trappers, we have a responsibility to try to help the state help us, because the more there are, the more they'll let us take. And, you know, so fill out that paperwork, send it in. It's going to take you 5 minutes. You know, do it. Help the state out, and the state will help us out.
What about information as far as
information?
websites?
Kentucky Fish and Game. You can get on the actual website for Kentucky Fish and Game and get on there, and there's a whole list of information. You can call up at the department office.
fw.ky.gov. Micah, it's been a pleasure.
Mr. Farmer, thank you very much.
You're so much fun to hang out with. We'll probably be seeing you again sometime
Good deal.
soon.